One 4chan user posted a story about how he came into possession of a blank Nintendo 64 cartridge with Majora's Mask written on it. The same user then posted photos and YouTube footage for proof of his story. Viewers discovered a completely fucked up version of the beloved Zelda title. A save file simply titled Ben was already on the cartridge even though the user had never played the title before. But here's where it gets weird. Ignoring the save file, the user started a new game no sooner had he begun his adventure when he noticed that all of the NPCs would refer to him as Ben. Weird, but nothing as definitive as being a haunted title. Probably just a glitch or something. The user deleted the Ben file and began a new save file. The haunted cartridge decided fuck that and began behaving like something straight out the X-Files. The game began acting erratic, music would play backwards for no reason, and its character was followed by a statue of the game's main character. Somehow the Ben file was mysteriously restored with a second, more scary, ominous save file. The second file was simply titled Drowned. Now there were two save files the user didn't create, and every time he played after their appearance, his character would simply die and the messages, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you?" would appear on the screen. We all know Squall from Final Fantasy VII and VIII, and one prevailing myth is that Squall is actually a ghost. At the end of Disc 1, Squall is impaled by a shard of ice while fighting the main boss. Squall comes to at the beginning of Disc 2 with no wounds, and none of the characters brings up the fact that he was killed. Up until now this point, the title is a fantasy game rooted in some bedrock of realism, and that shit goes right out the window after Squall gets gutted and magically resurrected. Some hold to the theory that Squall actually dies from his wounds at the end of Disc 1. The entire remainder of the game is Squall's dream as he passes away. This would explain why the game has such an increased fantasy tone after Squall's battle. A light flashing before his eyes montage of Squall's last moments of fantasy before death. Back in 1996, Pokemon Red and Green was in everybody's Game Boy around the world. But not many people know that when the game first dropped in Japan, it was supposedly linked to a massive spike in child suicides and illnesses. Children from the ages 7 to 12 were either fallen sick or taking their own lives. The most bizarre thing about the incident was the children did not fall ill or commit suicide until they reached Lavender Town. Many think the town's score was the cause of the ailments. The town's specific music caused nausea and eventually suicidal tendencies in children. The music was eventually changed before it was shipped overseas and became what we all know and love Lavender Town music to be nowadays. When The Legend of Zelda first appeared in 1986, it found itself in controversy, thanks to the conclusion of the third dungeon map. Go ahead and take a look. Looks pretty familiar, right? The map was shaped like a swastika. Parents demanded the game be pulled while the dungeon is shaped like a swastika. It's not the Nazi one. This one faces to the right and is actually an ancient symbol of peace in the Hindu mythology. The makers of Zelda were, as it turns out, only wishing players good luck. Who knew? I really can't say much about this one because I haven't played the game yet, but the theory goes that you can catch 3 figures on the ridge of a mountain in the level Shiverburn Galaxy. Anywhere on that level you go, if you look up and to the left, you will find the same 3 hollow-eyed figures watching you. Curious gamers began digging in the game files and discovered that the sky art for that area is called Beyond Hell Valley. Super Mario Galaxy 2 has no level named Hell Valley, and as for the figures themselves, the game files refer to them as Hell Valley trees. Those don't look like any trees we know of yet. That's it for this week. Tune in next week, and as always, sleep tight.